All right. See you guys in a bit.
All right.
Hey, sports enthusiasts! You've just stepped into the ultimate podcast for all things in youth sports. After the Game is where we break down the game within the game, from coaching strategies to the role of parents and the secrets behind running a top-tier program. Expect insightful conversations, expert tips, and a whole lot of sports banter. Whether you're a coach, a parent, or a player chasing dreams, this is your go-to spot. So fasten your seatbelts. Here are your hosts, Ryan and Chad. Let's dive into the action.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to After the Game. And tonight's guests are Rob and his son, Royce. How you guys doing?
Good. How you doing?
Not too bad. Royce, how about you? Can you hear me?
Yeah, doing pretty good.
Good. So I understand you guys are a wrestling family or a very athletic family.
Yep. We've been, boys have been wrestling. Royce started in pre-K, got his older brother started in kindergarten, and then now his youngest one started at 7 years old. So yeah, been doing it for a while.
Oh, wow. And where does that come from? Does that come from, mom and dad? I mean, are you guys, I understand you guys were athletes too?
Yep, both my wife and I both were in sports all through growing up, but wrestling wasn't an avenue we first picked. Royce's brother came home when we lived in Ohio with a pamphlet to start wrestling and said he wanted to wrestle. And I think they both thought it was that WWF style at the time. It's been history ever since. They've ran with it and been very successful.
So what sports did you and your wife play?
I wrestled. I played basketball, football, track. I did powerlifting in high school, so I did a little bit of everything. My wife was a big soccer player, and she did track.
Wow. So that certainly have had some impact on you guys as far as, hey, we played sports, we managed it, we did well with it. We'd like to see our kids do the same. Yeah.
Yep. I coached them almost every sport they played. I also played baseball back in the day as well, but their first sport they did was soccer, and then it was baseball, and then wrestling, and I coached them almost their entire life. So it was kind of a weird to sit back once they got to high school and then let the other coaches take it from there.
Yeah.
I did coach their travel summer league teams, so I got to coach a little of that aspect, but sat in the stands. I got to be a parent. It was kind of fun from there, but if you ask them, they probably said I was still a coach because they could hear me from the stands.
I was just going to ask, how do you restrain yourself? Because I could only imagine that you want to make calls. You want to tell them, hey, do this. Hey, no, coach, you're doing it wrong. This is what you should do. Put him in,
I was loud. They could hear me. I'm sure Royce will tell you that.
Oh, yeah. He was always front row and made sure that everyone could hear him pretty much. But
never any disputes, though, right? You and the coach always saw eye to eye?
Oh, yeah. I had game plans going in, so it was good. No, I mean, we were very fortunate for the wrestling side of it to have a coach that was a great coach on the mat, off the mat, teaching them more than just sports, to be a great young man in life and respect everything and put grades first. And I mean, we were very fortunate to have a high school coach that was that way for them, for sure.
Wow, that's fantastic. That opens up a whole nother line of questioning, because you brought up grades first. How did you manage that during wrestling season? How did you manage academics and the sport?
Royce, I'll let you take that one.
Yeah.
I mean, just like growing up, I guess when I was younger, it was just always grades first, and it just kind of developed like along the years. It was always like you're getting good grades, and then when you are getting good grades, like you can go out, go to practices and go to all these like tournaments and stuff. It was just developed at a young age, and you just kind of do it, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So you're pretty well molded and accustomed to that. They're like, hey, I've got this balance figured out. Because personally for me, so I wrestled, not extensively. In fact, for one, so my hat's off to you, buddy. I couldn't balance the academics and the sport. I struggled with it, and I ended up I quit the team regrettably. But no, that's really awesome that you're doing that. So now you're in college, right?
Yeah.
And where are you wrestling at?
University of Wisconsin, Madison.
That's right, everybody. University of Wisconsin. I love that, buddy. Love that. Go Bucky. All right. So tell me about that. What's that like for you with the balance?
I mean, it's been great. And I just kind of, right when I got in, I told myself, like, I need to develop a routine, like knowing how hard of a school this is, like with academic wise. Like, I guess in high school, especially senior year, like I wasn't the biggest on like pushing myself like in like the classroom. I felt like I kind of saw myself taking the more like easier classes, and now like since I got here, I realized like the classes I'm going to take and what I want to do, like they're going to be hard, and I need to develop like a good routine. And it's just any downtime I have, like I'm going to do homework. Like there's stuff that needs to be done, and you just kind of get it done, because knowing if your grades do slip, like you're not able to compete. So
that was very well said. I think the biggest takeaway from that is you are intentional and disciplined, and you knew that if you want to do better, especially down the road, post college, I would assume, right?
Yeah.
You're going to have to tackle the hard stuff head on.
Right.
And I always say, like, if you really want to progress in life, you have to do hard things. You have to challenge yourself. So that's pretty cool. So how'd you go about this? So you knew you had to come up with a routine. So you just started doing a better job with time management.
Right. So it's just any free time, instead of like, especially now, like it's easy to just scroll on my phone, like all these social media platforms. I was able to just kind of put it off to the side, and it's like anytime I like sit in my little desk area where I'm at right now, it's like, all right, I'm here to do homework. Like I can put my phone down, put it away, and all the other stuff, like it's not going to benefit me. I could just sit there and scroll on these platforms. What is that really doing for me? Other than, I mean, in like the moment, I guess it's like kind of fun. But
yeah,
like kind of down the road, say the end of the week, when I got like 4 or 5 assignments I'd be overdue or like got to be done at midnight, like then it just creates a whole lot of stress. So I find myself like just getting stuff done, and then the end of the week I'm like kind of surprised that like I have nothing to do.
I think for our younger viewers, that's a huge takeaway for them.
Yeah. No, it's been a big thing that I've just been telling myself, like these platforms, like I was hooked. I'd say like last year, again, bringing it back to the academic wise, I was able, it was just easy. Like it was just kind of good. What's the right word? Distraction, I guess. Yeah.
And chasing that dopamine hit.
Right.
Following that endless, what I call it, the scroll of death. You just endless. It's like purgatory, man. You just never ends. Keep scrolling, keep scrolling. Yep.
Yeah. I'll toss my phone to the other side of the room. I just know I can't have it in my sight.
Okay. No, that's fair. And I think you should do that. I mean, especially if you knowing that it's only going to be a hindrance, not a benefit, toss that sucker across the room.
I mean, something that I had to start with, I just set timers on my phone, to be honest. I've set 10-minute timers, and then I like throw it off to the side, do homework 10 minutes. Once I'm up, like I can check, and then it just kind of developed to where I don't value it as much, like I valued like getting homework done for myself, because I know, I mean, I have to get it done.
I think that's very wise of you to say that, though. The key word there was the value. You don't value that as much. You realize that it's not value added, but your schoolwork, what is really more important, that has a lot more value to you and to the success that you want to reach and to that next level. So that's really awesome, man. And it shows a lot of character and discipline to, develop that kind of routine. So that's fantastic. So, you're a wrestler. You've been wrestling nearly your whole life. You're now at UW Madison, which is fantastic. What were some of the most memorable highlights from you, or moments from your wrestling journey so far?
I mean, to be honest, I think it has to be when I actually didn't wrestle, which is like weird to say, but I think my sophomore year, when I like took the year off, I didn't wrestle, and I thought like it was just a big moment and like change in my wrestling.
Does that feel weird?
Yeah, extremely weird. It was just like, I feel like I developed so much as a person with that year off.
Yeah.
It was a lot of like mentally, from like going to practice, saying like more saying that, like, I guess freshman year and below is like, I have to go to these practices. Like I'd like to blame my dad a lot. Sorry, but but I like to blame him a lot. I'd be like, oh, he's making me do this. He's making me do this. And now, like, I took that year off and then I came back and I'm like, these are like the opportunities that are presented to me. And like, I want to do this. Like, I missed it. And I like strive more to like be better. And it like, I guess right now is still like continuing like all the opportunities that I have now to just go into like this practice room with all these like top guys in the country and be able to work out with them. Like, I love it. And like our lifting programs, our diets, it's just like, I love it all up here. And it's like, I get to do these now.
Yeah.
So I guess back then, like that year off really like it changed a lot. So I think that would honestly be my most memorable moment, just because I felt like I changed so much as a person and it really like helped me develop my wrestling a lot more. It made me look a lot more into it, I guess, if that makes sense.
Well, I would say that sounds very profound. You know, the fact that it was going a year without it is what developed your increased desire to do it.
Yeah.
And I got to say, your dad's one heck of a dad. If he instilled this in you, man,
Oh,
you're a pretty good father.
Yeah. I mean, it took a little bit. Like, I think it was a lot of news to everyone.
Yeah.
But I guess deep down, I just knew I needed it. And I don't know what really told me, but it was just like a couple, like, first it kind of sparked up, like, what would happen if I didn't? And it was a lot of like what ifs instead of like, let's like do it. And then, but let's not like do it and just like waste it. Like, I didn't waste that year. I really thought about like everything, if that makes sense.
It does. It does. I don't know too many. How old are you?
I'm 18.
18. I don't know. It only makes it that much more crazy for me to try to comprehend that. I don't know too many people that age, of that caliber, that have that level of deep thinking of knowing that I need to do this if I wanted to get to that next level. If I want to level up in my life, if I want to make my family proud, I want to make myself proud of, the things that I want to accomplish. These are the things I have to do. I don't know too many people that think like that at your age. That's very impressive, man. I mean, so you should feel really good about that, young man.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't really know what was going to bring me, if that makes sense. Like, I didn't know what was going to happen after I took the year off, but just like it really changed.
Scary, huh?
It was like, what if I never come back? And
I
mean, I think I would have been successful in whatever I would be doing if I didn't come back. Just like by the way I think of things now. So
why exactly did you take the year off again?
It was just like a lot of mentally like not wanting to go to these practices and not wanting to do what it actually takes to, I guess, take that level up in like wrestling in general.
Yeah.
It was like, I didn't want to go in the practice room. I'd walk in there and be like, I just hate it here. Like, let me just get through this practice. And then like, I wouldn't learn. I felt like by doing that, I was just hitting a plateau and I was just going along. Like, I keep going back to my freshman years when I think about it. Like, I felt like I didn't improve. And then I felt like junior year, I guess like sophomore, summer year, I started going back to practices. And when I did, it was like, all right, what areas do I want to work on, like this practice? And then when we went live, it was like, all right, I'm going to focus on this area. Like, I don't care if I win or lose. It doesn't matter. I'm going to focus on this area. Like, I'm going to hit this move and I'm going to hit it over and over and over again until it becomes like in my arsenal. And
nice.
Now it just keeps growing. I mean, now watching a lot of film on matches, just like, all right, what went wrong, what went right, why did it go wrong, and why did this work? It's just kind of, I felt like it was taking that step back and just viewing it just a whole lot different.
Yeah. Wow. So one, you're being very intentional. And two, you really realized that you wanted to help develop your technique. Because I know, being a former wrestler myself, a lot of it's all about the technique, speed and technique. At least that's what my coach taught me. So I don't know if, Maybe with a philosophy for you was a little bit different. I mean, if you want to talk about that.
I mean, I guess I'll say right now, the way I've been looking at like wrestling is just wrestling through all positions.
Okay.
Like, instead of like stop, I guess if you get taken down, you might stop, lay on your stomach, and then like decide to build up. Or you could, and then now it's like, say I'm about to get taken down. How can I scramble out of this? How can I work through this position and end up on top? And when I do get on top, like, how can I turn this guy? Or maybe am I going to cut him? How can I look for this next takedown?
Yeah. So what weight class are you wrestling in?
I'm at 57 right now. I took this season, didn't really cut a lot. I feel like that was another thing. Freshman year, I was cutting a lot of weight. It's just a whole another level of stress on top of my wrestling that I didn't need. This year, it takes me about like one practice to get down to 57. And I've just been putting on muscle and just trying to develop this college wrestling.
Yeah. Let's talk about your fitness regimen. What are you typically doing?
Like daily schedule?
Yeah, what's your daily,
it's always
daily schedule. What's the dieting like? All these are, these are disciplines, man. It takes a lot of discipline to do that and to stay consistent with that. Consistency is huge.
Yeah, it's back to that routine. I feel like I developed a pretty good one, but our practices, I guess now since we're in the Big Ten season, we get our Mondays off, but it used to be we're in the room like on the mat 8:30s Monday, Tuesday, and then we used to have runs at 2:30 on Monday, straight into the lift at 3, and then lifting Tuesday. Wednesday would be off, like our recovery day. So I'd go in and I hit hot tub, cold tub, steam room, just kind of get the body feeling good. And then usually Wednesday night, I'll go back in, just always hitting like 2 workouts a day. I feel like really helps. And it could be something as small as like just biking or running on the treadmill and then hitting stair stepper. I love that Stairmaster. I don't know why. I love it. So I'm always hitting that. And then Thursdays back on the mat 8:30, and then lift at 3. And then just kind of like our weight cuts Friday, Saturday, and then usually competing either Saturday, Sunday.
Nice. For me, obviously, I'm older. Wrestling's not my thing anymore. But I did serve in the military, so I mean, I can still grapple.
Yeah.
I'm a runner. I do love the treadmill. Okay. I love the treadmill and I love running outside. I'm actually running my first full marathon this summer. I usually run like 2 halves in a summer and then like some 10Ks in there. So, I mean, is there you do a fair amount of cardio?
Oh, a lot. I mean, practices too. I mean, they always tell us like end of practice, don't be like sitting around. Like, I feel like a lot, like, especially in high school, they'd be like, oh, practice is done. Get yourself, like, you just kind of go home. Now it's like practice is done. We do have a lot of 50 push-ups, just something as small as like 50 push-ups, 50 sit-ups, and then 50 pull-ups. It's just like that added, I guess, cardio or that added lift just really makes a difference.
Nice. So we talked about your training regimen. It's all about the consistency. What's the diet like though? What are you eating?
So we get meals at Camp Randall. So like right after our practices, we go down as a team, and it's a lot of chicken. It's just there's a lot of chicken down there. And, I mean, you play yourself, but I like to just get my fruits, get my veggies, and then whatever they serve down here. But it's always like a lot of chicken.
Portion control?
What's that?
Portion control? Are you watching how much?
Yeah.
What that intake is?
Yeah. I feel like just like I don't eat too much, like, so I don't quite got to worry about it.
Yeah.
But obviously, like, you just kind of watch like what you do put in your body, and you always think about it. And it's, I guess, with like having such hard lifts like coming up, you don't want to put that bad stuff in your body. Like, you're not going to feel good for the lift.
No.
I feel like that just like really tells you to just put good stuff in your body and really watch how much you are eating.
Quick story. When I was graduating, so I served in the Marine Corps. Boot camp's 3 months long. Obviously, everything is meticulous in there, and your meals are all planned and all that stuff, right? You go to the chow hall, you only eat X amount of times a day. You in between me, you don't even have access to food in between those experiences. And upon graduating, I ate a hot dog for the first time in 3 months. I got so sick.
Yeah, it is.
Like I got like my body knew like, don't eat that. Don't eat that. That's not good. Yeah, it was awful.
I felt that. It's just weird eating those bad stuff now. You're just not used to it.
Yeah,
You don't even like think about it. I felt like a lot of people fall into the trap that like they might think about like or kind of fall into, oh, I want this so bad. That craving. That was the right word. I feel I don't crave any of those anymore. I know what I want to put in my body. And I guess since I've got in here, I've been seeing, I guess, results. We have these DEXA scans that show us like fat percentage and then like muscle mass and stuff. And I actually have my appointment Thursday, so I'm not able to really say how good it's been. But
so what's that appointment going to do? They're going to like test. Is it like a blood test to see?
Yeah, so it's like a
triglycerides and stuff.
Scan. So we like lay on this thing and some scans us, and they could tell the percentage. We did one earlier in the season, so they're gonna compare the two to see how much like muscle you put on, like if it's muscle, if it's fat, like if it's fat, obviously like they're gonna change your diet a little bit.
Yeah.
But, I mean, from what I heard, the lifting coach said one was good, so I'm pretty excited for that.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so it's a machine that you lay down on and it scans your body.
Down, like, it just kind of goes from head to toe and just scans. I don't really know how it works, but I just kind of look at the results.
I mean, usually I just walk through the airport security and they scan me.
Yeah.
They don't tell me how I'm doing though. If
they don't tell you muscle mass and stuff like that.
Nice. So, all right, we got a father and son here. So, how do you guys support each other as a father and son in the wrestling community? I mean, your dad's been a big impact on you. So, what's that like, Dad?
It's good. We talk a lot after the matches, obviously, if I'm in person. Win or loss, obviously loss is a little more difficult. I got to give him some time to process it in his mind and stuff. And I had to learn the hard way on that one as well. As growing up, I used to try to talk to him right away, separate from the coach and dad. It's a tough thing to do, but now we've grown together in it and give him his time. And then we talk what happened in the match, what worked. Obviously I'm not in the room anymore, so it's kind of I've seen the growth in the wrestling, and trust me, it's by far more than what I know anymore. So
wow,
try to be a dad, and I think I've grown and done that a lot better. Obviously, my wife has been a key factor in balancing that life of that, especially the sophomore year when he did take off. She and Royce had a lot of conversations on it, and she's the mental side person of our house for sure. But I think that's how we've grown, and we talk wrestling a lot now. And we talk about other wrestlers too, of other teams, etc. It's one of the bonds that we have, and you get his older brother in the process. My wife will walk away because the three of us can talk wrestling for hours at a time about this and that.
That's really cool.
So I've enjoyed the ride, enjoyed the watching it, and by far he's a way better young man than I was at that age. That's for sure. Chad could protest to that, I'm sure.
So the sport has really developed a deeper bond within the family. It's strengthened the family dynamic. And from the sounds of it, your wife, I'm sorry, what was her name? Renee. So Renee she's even got a lot of mental toughness going on, it sounds like. And she's the one, when you're away, she's the one talking his ear off and really instilling that toughness in him.
Yeah, she's that middle person, because there's stuff that, Royce would be scared to tell me, about it, possibly thinking about quitting. He didn't want to let me down. I know that was one thing. He thought I would be mad at him or this and that. So she was that person to be that middle grounded person. And we've all grown, through the sport together. It wasn't just an easy walk. We've had our ups and downs. But I think now, like, we support him 100%. We're at every match, even if he's not wrestling in the lineup, we're there supporting him and the teammates. But yeah, and through high school, through grade school, I mean, we were always around. We're known as the wrestling family in our little smaller community for sure.
That's awesome. I love that. So, what are your aspirations post college with wrestling? Is there anything that you learned from wrestling that you apply to other areas of your life?
I mean, I guess like coaching could be like, I love coaching. I love like teaching others. I mean, with the sport of wrestling, it's like pretty, I guess, since I have the background that I do, I feel like I want to kind of change the younger, like the youth side of wrestling, if that makes sense. I see a lot of like dads like yelling at their kids and just yelling in the wrong way, if that makes sense. And just kind of the way that I want to teach like the youth with the sport of wrestling, like I don't know. It's just a good.
No, I think you're onto something there, man. I like that. So let's talk about that. So you basically, do you mentor anybody right now? Any high schoolers even?
No, I mean, I used to actually my senior year of high school with my little brother, and
Yeah.
we got a couple of his friends and got a room, and I decided like it would be more than like wrestling too. Just kind of we start practice, and I just asked like, "Hey, what'd you learn today? What'd you learn in the classroom?" I feel like that's a big standpoint. Like now
Yeah.
that I see it in college, like the classroom's such a big thing.
So you're basically trying to get them to be more aware of like, hey, look, it's not just about hitting the mat.
Mm-hmm.
It's about also hitting the books too. You need
Right.
to start there. Keep your mind sharp, so that
Mhm.
way you can be even sharper out on the mat.
And another thing is just like keeping the sport fun. You know,
Yeah.
like a lot of these kids, they might just be going really hard, like, and I guess like conditioning too. Like I used to hate conditioning as a kid, and I guess a lot of like what I was saying earlier, like, oh, I have to do this.
Yeah.
Like I have to go to practice now. Like I want these kids to kind of think like the way I do. Like I get to go to practice. I get to learn all these moves.
Yeah.
I get to follow like what he knows, and I get to see what's wrong like with my areas of wrestling, and I want them to just kind of get a deeper think like within wrestling and come like to these like privates like with questions and like why doesn't this work like in their matches.
Are you sure you're 18? I mean, that was some heavy stuff, man.
But
I
it
love
could be
that.
possibly, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I'm 18.
All right. I don't know. You got a Benjamin Button thing going on. So, are there any specific goals you're working towards in your wrestling career? Like, is there something that you want to achieve within wrestling? Before you graduate.
I mean, obviously, just I guess I haven't been able to this year, but just putting on that Wisconsin singlet and wrestling a duel in front of the home crowd is just. I feel like I like to have little stops within like the goals. I mean, obviously, like everyone could just say national champ, but I feel like it's good to have kind of pit stops within the goal, like within the main goal. I'd say the main goal is national champ, but first stop is making that lineup, putting on that Wisconsin singlet, wrestling in front of the home crowd, and then getting that. I always like kind of dream of getting that big win and just like looking around and seeing everyone's cheering for you. Like,
Name in the marquee lights, basically.
exactly. Everyone strives for that moment. And
That's awesome.
that's the first step.
You got to have dreams, man, and that's got to be. And there's nothing wrong with a dream like that. As it's not selfish at all. It's like, hey, I worked really hard my entire life towards this. That's that payout. That's that one. That's my 15 minutes of fame that I really want to aspire, where I can feel really proud of the work I put in, all the discipline and the routine that I've developed. I earned that. I earned that moment, and absolutely, you rightfully so. You did earn that moment. And I'm rooting for you, man. I hope you get that moment.
I appreciate that.
So what's your signature move? Do you have one?
Oh, my double for sure.
Double leg takedown, or what is that?
Blast double, like head in the chest.
Okay.
Any single private I do, first thing I show. I love it so much. I think just even just watching it, like watching it on film, like, I feel like everyone should hit this,
Yeah. So what's the fastest you pin someone?
Oh, actually, I can't really remember. Since I got to college, pinning hasn't been too much. There's got to have been a match where I double legged the guy and stacked him right away. Like
Nice.
So in high school.
So going from high school to college, although you spent years and years and years in wrestling,
mm-hmm.
do you feel that you were prepared enough for college wrestling? What was the comparison between high school and college?
I feel like everyone's just strong here, and like everyone's really strong. But it's a lot of, I guess, like going back to just wrestling through positions. Like you're never out of the fight, no matter how like big, like no matter how strong you are, you're never out of the fight. Like anything can happen in the sport of wrestling, which I mean, I love it. Like you can get tossed to your back, and next thing you know, you either down 7 or you're up 7. And say you are down 7, like off the rip, like you're not out of it. Like you can still pin a guy. So I feel like I had a good understanding my first couple of like summer practices. I did get gassed. I got gassed with those 3-minute like 3-2-2. It's a lot. Like it's a lot different. And again, I can't stop going back to these. Just keep wrestling. I feel like that's what I keep telling myself now. It's just like instead of just having these bursts, it's just kind of think about what you're doing and just wrestle through everything.
You're never out of the fight.
Mm-hmm.
That is good. I like that. Honestly, that reminds me so much of serving in the Marine Corps, man. I mean, that's awesome. So talk to me about any pre-meet or pre-match rituals or anything you have.
I like to stay calm. I don't like to think about wrestling, to be honest. I feel like a lot of people, they're just like, oh, let me think about what I want to hit, this, that. Like, I feel like in matches, like, it's not going to go like that. Like, you can't dictate what the other guy's going to do. Yeah. So why, like, think about it? So I'll just kind of, I usually just kind of chill out. And that's the time I'll use my, like, platforms, like my social media platforms. I'll distract myself. I don't like to think about it because then I get too worked up. And then I think I might, like, I know with track wrestling now, like a lot of parents and a lot of youth kids, they'll like look up the kid. And I used to do that. I used to be guilty of it. And then I'd psych myself up. And then before I even step on the mat, like I lose. So now it's just like, I don't like to look who I have. It's just more like, all right, when am I up? And when I'm up, like, then I'm just going to leave it all out there. So I guess I don't really have a pre-match ritual. It's just go out there and have fun. Just you've been doing.
Are you popping in some tunes at least? Something?
Sometimes I will. I've been listening to that old rap. It's been pretty good. Pretty good. I like
from your dad's age or what?
It actually just started. I'm not gonna lie, just started, and I just love just being in my own world. I like noise cancel, and I just kind of sit there, and I like nod in my head, and I like to just kind of I like not sing it, but I'll just kind of whisper the words to myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So are we at the age now where Tupac and Biggie are called classic?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, from like all the friends that I know, like everyone knows them, obviously.
Yeah.
It's just like, but
it's funny. I used to play that stuff on our road trips for wrestling, and they're like, "Oh, what is this stuff?" And now they're listening to it.
Now they're like, "Oh, look how retro I am."
Yeah, cool.
Oh, that's so cool. So, how do you handle any setbacks or any challenges? Like, your dad mentioned, when you lose a mat, obviously, lose a match, kind of leave you alone. What's going through your head, Royce?
I guess like after a match, it's just you kind of cool down, and I think it's good to reflect off it. Obviously, like you want to think of what went right, what went wrong, and I think a good thing is just move on to the next. Like that's in the past. Like you got to leave it there, especially like those tournaments where you lose and you got a match like coming up right away. You just got to leave that behind you. You just got to move on. And I feel like I've been doing that with like a lot of like outside of wrestling too. It's like, say you might do something, you might do something bad, you might get a bad grade, like you can't really do much about it. You just got to move on. Like, yeah, what did I do wrong? Maybe I didn't study as hard. All right, for the next one, I'm going to study a little harder, see what happens. That makes sense. Like, it's just take that next step forward. Like, instead of taking steps back, just kind of keep moving forward. That's all you got to do.
Absolutely. And real quick, for any viewers at home, please, if you have any questions for Rob and Royce, put them down in the comments. So, Royce, what do you enjoy most about wrestling, man? Like, what is it that creates such this internal desire, this passion that you have for it? You said you took that year off. You realized that, wow, I need this. I'm essentially, to use the word in a good way, I'm addicted to this. you know. What is it about it?
I guess, I don't know. I saw myself just kind of better as a person. I guess like these morning workouts, like I'd wake up and I'm hitting a morning workout right away, and then I'll have class at like 11. So I'll be done with like the workout around like 10, class at 11. And it's just like, I felt like since I already like have something done for the day, like I'm ready for the next thing, and I'm more like intensive in the classroom.
Yeah.
Versus like if I wake up, I have class at 11, I'll wake up and just struggle out of bed at like 10:15, and then just kind of walk to my class. I'm still kind of like drowsy, like vice versa. I got a workout in and I'm ready to go. And then I guess, yeah, it's just something like when I know I have to get, I guess like going back to grades, I know I have to get good grades to be able to compete. It's just like they work well with each other, I guess. And it's just like outside, it makes me a better person. I guess I'm more in shape. So I know like for the future, like I'm with like me working on my body now, like my health's going to be better in the future. Like there's just so many benefits with just not even just the sport of wrestling, just like sports in general. I feel like there's just so many benefits down the road, and I'm just creating those benefits for myself. And hopefully I can carry on like the right, I guess, waking up and hitting a workout. Like hopefully I can carry that on outside, like when I'm done wrestling, just kind of get the routine going. And
I couldn't agree more, man. I think there's a couple of things there. One, you're creating that routine and that consistency now that's going to set you up better down the road. You seem to give yourself, it gives you a lot more mental clarity and focus in the classroom too. That's, from my understanding,
right.
Which I got to tell you, man, that's already going to give you a leg up on post college, when it comes to, the job field. I think it's going to give you a sharper edge. You're going to be that Ginsu knife, in that interview, nailing that and cutting through the competition to get that job. So with that being said, what is your major?
I'm a personal finance major.
Nice. You like numbers.
Yeah.
Wrestles people on the mat and wrestles numbers with the Excel spreadsheets.
Right.
That's cool, man. That is awesome. So to toss it back over to Rob, I mean, what's your take on, his consistency, his regiment, his discipline, and, are your other, not to throw, obviously, now Royce, you're the oldest, right?
No, I'm the middle child.
The middle child. So, I mean, in comparison, not a competition, I want to, note that, but has that rubbed his consistency, his discipline, has that rubbed off on some of the others?
Yeah. I think all of them are pretty consistent on their regiments, on what they do. All three of them are pretty strong-minded, or as my wife called stubborn. We're stubborn. They do it in their own ways, but they get the job done. I think Roy's fortunate enough, his brother Riley and Royce were like best friends growing up, and other parents were amazed that those two could practice with each other without throwing fists at each other. I mean, they would go at it live. There was not one fight whatsoever, at least in the wrestling room. I think one time they ever got in a fight, and that was over something dumb in the front yard. But otherwise, they could push each other at practice, and they were practice partners, and they grew up together in the sport. They traveled all over. So they built that regiments with each other, friendly challenges to see who could do better in things. And I think that pushed them. But both of them for sure have great regiments. And now my 9-year-old's the same way. He gets home, gets his homework done before we go to practice, or his spelling words. He's got to do at least 10 minutes of this writing his spelling words down before we drive to club practice. And kind of, he looks up to them on that and where they are, and he wants to be like them. So that's been a huge help. And a lot of it, once again, it started with Renee. Grades were the most important to her. Sports was to me, so we had to have that balance.
Yeah.
And I owe a lot of that to her on the grade side, definitely. Like if I could have it, they'd be practicing 6 hours a day, right off the bus. We used to live at the baseball diamonds back when they were playing baseball till it get dark out. But so they have that routine. They've built it. themselves more than anything. And a lot of it too is my wife and I we worked a lot of long hours, especially when Royce and Riley were growing up. So they were a daycare provider and then school. So they saw us working hard, and I mean, we'd work 5-6 days weeks. And I think that they lived off that, and they've grown even better. So I think it's all hats off to them for sure. They wanted to do it.
Someone listening to that, I don't know if you guys heard about, there was a new movie that came out in the last couple of months, and it was about a wrestling family, a true story. I think it was called Iron Claw.
Yeah, after the Von Erichs.
Yes, yeah, that's right. I don't know. You guys kind of remind me of that. You're the dad, and you're instilling that discipline, that routine, and that hard work ethic in your kids, and that's fantastic. I think that is something right there that speaks volumes to your character and to the fact that you want to be a good role model and create children and have children that are excellent role models for fellow students to emulate and for the future generations to emulate. So, I mean, that's really huge, man.
Yeah, I think all parents, we all want our kids to be better than what we were, growing up.
Yeah, true.
And that was my main goal, is for them to be better than me, and they have been by far. I don't tell them that as much. I still tell them I was a better athlete, any dad would, but they by far past what I thought they could be as athletes and students. So,
yeah,
Brian, I want to thank you also for your service, by the way, too.
Oh, I appreciate that, man. Thank you. Some of the best years of my life, 8 years in the Marine Corps, and I forged a lot of bonds to this day. I'm 38, and I still talk to a lot of the guys I've served with. So yeah, it's fantastic. And I think one of the where I'm relatable to, you and your work ethic and discipline is, the wrestling is very similar in the military in the regard of like, hey, team building exercises, leadership qualities, having humility and being very humble and very disciplined in what it is that you're doing. So I think that's fantastic. I mean, if you were to go in, decide to serve, I would happily support you. I think that you have the makings of a fantastic officer. You could definitely be an officer with how, the level of acumen that you have. With the parenting side of it, like, I think that you guys, truly, it's a testament to, to what you and your wife Renee have accomplished. I mean, all of your kids it sounds like they're all very successful, highly athletic, and I can only imagine, when they have kids and all the values that you've instilled in them and what that's going to look like. I mean, I bet you're pretty stoked to be a grandpa one day, no time soon, but at some point.
Yeah, one day for sure I would love to, but it was a growth for me as well. I didn't start off probably as the best dad supporting per se. Like, I was hard on them at first.
Yeah.
It takes that time. You grow with your kids in sports. You get hooked into the competitive side to be the best of them.
Yeah.
I drove my oldest out of the sport for a little while because he was a natural from day one. So, you could win a tournament or, hit a home run or whatever. And there was still like me saying, oh, you could have did better. You could have did this, and it took time. It was a lot of learning, a lot of car rides that Royce could tell you, like, we had some tough conversations, but you don't just right away learn. It's learned through mistakes, and anything in life, you're going to learn from any mistakes you did. And, I learned through it. I think I became a better dad on that aspect of it. And it was a lot of my wife too saying, hey, you're too hard on them. Hey, you're this, or, you got to watch their emotional side of it. So it wasn't easy. I grew, and it didn't come just like that by any means.
So there was a lot of trying to find that balance between the two things, and knowing when maybe you might be too hard on them, and maybe you're and I'm sure there were opportunities where maybe you weren't hard enough. You didn't, so it's kind of, thumb in the wind and trying to find that right balance, that sweet spot of, what's the right approach to take. So, that's really cool though. And the fact that you were able to really learn, it wasn't the same thing. Cause I listened to, some of my friends and their parents, and it was being hard, and not realizing that, hey, there's also an emotional side that we need to take into consideration.
Yeah.
So that's awesome that you guys had that balance.
Sports and youth there's a lot of mental, especially in wrestling and any combat sport, I guess.
Yeah.
There's a lot of mental side of it. And when I was growing up, that was not something you discussed. There was no mental. There was nothing. It was, rub dirt on it, get back out there, or stuff like that. I mean, sports has changed. Technology's changed where, you talk about that side of it. My era, if you showed any emotion, you were considered a wimp per se, so there's a lot of things evolved, and as dads and parents in sports, you got to evolve with the changes. So
yeah, I remember the days you broke your arm, put some Windex on
it. Yeah, get back out there.
Get back out there, buddy.
Yep.
No, actually, that reminds me of I actually had this was back in the military. We set up a bull ring, right? So we'd gather around in a circle, right? All the Marines, we'd gather around in a circle. 2 guys would enter back to back, sitting on your butts, right? Whistle blows. You go to your knees, and you got to take the other guy down. I had a guy who was probably twice my size. Now remember, this is the military. It's not like, oh, weight classes. No, it was like, hey, you just go who's ever in the ring.
Yeah.
Big imbalance there. And I'm only 5'6". And at the time, I was probably weighing maybe 165, but solid. And whistle blows. I go to it. I got the guy in a lock. He's probably Chad's size. The guy gets my wrist locked, drove his knee into my elbow, and snaps my arm. Ouch. It sounded like glass breaking, and my whole platoon, all you hear is, oh, God. Everyone's like, ow. And then another guy calling for the corpsman. Corpsman runs over, and like my arm was just stuck like that. And basically I had a fracture in my elbow from it. He hyperextended that. So this went like way over there. It was rough, man. But I mean, but speaking of injuries, what's the worst that you've had? What's the worst that you've endured out there on the mat?
I mean, I think I've been pretty blessed. I haven't had anything too bad, except, I mean, I guess this year it's just been a lot of little bumps on the knee injuries. I don't know what's been past couple of years. Actually, it's just the overwork on it. But I mean, what can you really do? You're always using them. I guess the worst probably be, I forgot what grade it was, but I got a tooth to the head, and then some staples, and then when I was out wrestling in Estonia, I took I like the down block with my head. I think it's one of the best ways. If you go head to head, they're not really going to get through you. So that happened, and it hit me right here, and I guess split open, and then I guess flying all the way to Estonia, and then they made me forfeit out of the tournament. And I guess other than that, that's all I've really gotten. Haven't been anything too bad.
So what was it like wrestling in another country?
It's just, I guess, I don't know. I felt like it was another tournament. Obviously, it's a freestyle Greco, but they do wrestle different. They're strong out there, man. They're crazy strong.
Big, huh?
Yeah, I wrestled there when I was, I think 7th and 8th grade. I'm pretty sure it was.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah, I was younger, and man, they were strong for being that young. But
I bet they already had full beards too, huh?
Some of them did. Yeah, walk around and there's no way I'm the same as you.
That guy looks like he's 40.
Right. But yeah, no. It was such a cool experience. I've only gone out twice. I went to France, and then I went to Estonia, and just the culture.
Wow.
Yeah, it was awesome to see. I loved it.
So where else have you traveled outside of the U.S. to wrestle?
It was just those 2 places.
Just those 2 places? Which one did you like the most?
You can't go it's got to be France.
Got to be France?
Yeah, you got to see the Eiffel Tower, and
oh yeah,
I love the catacombs. I don't know why.
I did that too. I did that back in 2019.
I thought that was
the catacombs.
A cool place to be.
Pretty spooky, huh?
Yeah, but I don't know why. I was just this is so cool. I think it was more I never heard of it. So when I went down there, I was
the French have an affinity for. They say that death is very romantic. I know that sounds very morbid, but that's love the fries. So, what is the goofiest teammate you have, man?
Right now on the team?
Sure.
Goofiest. Man, hold up. I got to think about this now. The goofiest? I got to – it's one of our seniors, actually, Pete Christensen. He's got to be the goofiest kid. He's just like, I don't know, his character and just the way he talks. It's always just so funny.
Is Pete gonna see this?
I hope not. He might have a word, but
Sorry about that. Had a technical issue there.
yeah.
So Mike went muted for a moment. I had a guy back when I wrestled. There was another guy. I won't drop his name, but he.
Oh wait, so I had to try.
Every time. Oh, you're fine, buddy. But every time he got out for his match, he did this crazy like gorilla pound thing to try and to intimidate his opponent. I don't think it ever worked. I think everybody just laughed.
Yeah, I think I'd be shocked. I'd probably take a step back. Like,
yeah,
just kind of be
nothing like that, right? No one's ever done anything like that.
Yeah, I don't think I've had anything like that.
Yeah. What about? I know that. What about Jolly Ranchers? Did you guys ever suck on Jolly Ranchers and spit them out? Is that still a thing?
I did it one time.
You did it once?
Didn't think it worked, so I was like, I'm never doing this again.
Yeah, we used to take day of match, like literally within like 30 minutes of a match, we literally had a thing of honey. We'd take shots. We'd all pass it around and take shots of honey.
Shots.
To get that sugar rush.
Yeah.
That extra burst of energy.
I feel like I've been having a lot more honey this year than I ever do. I don't quite know.
Like before match though?
Yeah, so it's a lot of peanut butter and honey, like little sandwiches and stuff. But
yeah. So like you're not eating that all. It's just before matches, right? Because you don't want to screw up the diet.
Mm.
Gotcha. Now, post college, you said you wanted to potentially be a coach, right? But you're majoring in, you said finance,
right?
What do you want to do if either of those don't, pan out in the way that you want?
I mean, I guess like
back up.
The way I've been like, just kind of the way I live. I don't like to, I guess, plan out my future. I feel like I like to live where I am right now, and whatever like comes across. I mean, I feel like I just kind of, I don't pass up on opportunities, like I feel like it's a good thing to do is just not pass up on opportunities, and those opportunities are going to build off each other. And I feel like you're going to eventually like make it to where you want to be, Yeah. Don't really have a backup plan. And it's just, I'm going to just kind of keep taking that next step forward and feel like I'll be pretty good in the long run. That's the way I'm looking at it now. And if it fails me, but.
Oh, that's awesome, buddy. So what advice would you give any, high schoolers right now, any wrestlers, what advice would you have for them?
Just have fun. I mean, everyone says it, but it really is just have fun and just kind of look differently at the ways that you might be kind of, what's the right word? I guess doubting right now. Like look differently at your schoolwork, look differently at your relations with people. And just like, I guess always come with a positive mindset too. And like, there's no benefit in being negative, like walking into that room, like being, I guess, negative, being in a bad mood. Like there's no benefit to that. Like, what are you going to get out of that practice if you walk in being like, I don't want to be here? What are you going to get out of like that school day if you will go into school like, I don't want to be here? What are you going to get out with like a relation, like with friends or even like relationships, if you're just going to be negative and start all these fights and just bring people down? Like there's no reason to it, I feel like just kind of being positive with everything. And I feel like that's been a good thing for me. It's just kind of staying positive in every moment and not passing up on the opportunities too. Like I was just talking about it.
Yeah.
Opportunities are going to get brought upon you and just kind of don't let them pass. Like do what's best for you. And I guess a lot of like in the high school era, I guess, is just kind of doing what your friends do, instead of like going out to do what you want to do, like what's best for you. I feel like I see a lot just kind of sticking with their friends. And I feel like it's hard to do. Like, I'm not going to say I was the best.
No doubt. Yeah.
But I feel like you just kind of strive for those opportunities and just kind of what's best for your future. That makes sense.
It certainly does, man. So maintain a positive mindset, a glass half full mentality,
right?
And maintaining discipline. Don't pass up on opportunities. In fact, lean into those opportunities, and basically, don't just follow exactly what all your friends want to do. Try to decide something for yourself.
Right.
Yeah, no, I think those are all very wise words, especially coming from an 18-year-old. I wouldn't even believe it. So if people want to find you, follow you on your socials, give you hey, I'm rooting for you, buddy. Where do they find you?
Well, I mean, I guess any socials like Instagram's probably my main one. Instagram.
And what's your name?
It's Royce_Nilo.
All right, Royce_Nilo on Instagram. Okay. Yep. Hey, I'm gonna follow you now.
Oh, I'll give you a follow back.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it, buddy. Yeah. So, anything else? Any other thoughts, Dad? Rob, Royce?
No, I'm big thanks. Thank you guys for having us on this show.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to do a quick shameless plug here. I don't know if you had time to look at what it is that we do. So Chad and I founded a company. We're called Team 2. And what we do is we actually have basically custom tailored websites for schools to manage their athletic programs and after school activities. Mm-hmm. So it's really something. And, when you guys get time, I'd say check it out. Go to team2.com. You can check us out here, and the viewers at home, they can check us out, team2.com. So again, I just got to say, really appreciate you guys taking the time. This was fantastic. I don't believe that when you say you're an 18-year-old, you sound like a wise 30-something-year-old right now.
Appreciate that.
You've already lived. So no, I think a lot of young, especially high schoolers, have a lot to gain from hearing your story, hearing how disciplined you are, hearing that if they maintain a lot of those similar values, those qualities, they can aspire to do great things. And we think we need more of that. We need more young men like you. We need more fathers like Rob. So, with that, we really appreciate having you guys on and taking the time.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Really love talking about it. It's awesome.
Yeah. Thanks a lot. I guess we can cut it there.
All right. Thanks, Chad. Thanks, Ryan.
Yep. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it, guys. Cool. That was amazing.
We're still live.
No, I ended it.
Oh, you did? Oh, okay.